Welcome to GRC Chats. Today, our guest is Caroline Stokes. I'm very happy to have you here today, Caroline. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Edja. It's really great to be here.
Likewise. Before we jump into our topic for today, can you shortly introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Caroline Stokes. I am a leadership coach and strategist for the Fifth Industrial Revolution, and I am author of a book, and it just came out in the summer called Aftershock to 2030, a CEO's Guide to Reinventing in the Age of AI, Climate, and Societal Collapse.
Super cool. Thank you so much for that introduction. So, with that being said, what are we discussing about today?
Mm. So one of the things I'm most concerned about is the state of people's mental health right now, in the area of risk, compliance, governance, and obviously cybersecurity. I have had and have worked with cybersecurity leaders, and obviously, and as well as people in risk and governance, people that work for governments, people that institutions that provide support to governments. And these people, while they're absolute superheroes, they're working all hours of the day, all hours, because cybersecurity never sleeps. There's always something going on. Um, and what I find is that with associations or with people that are within organizations, very critical, like critical infrastructure, and organizations, their work is so exhausting. It is highly critical. It's about saving lives. It's about doing the things that basically ensures that our economy runs. And that is really hard work as we get faster, as things get harder, as things become more challenging, or geopolitics becomes more challenging, the economics or economic volatility becomes more volatile. It's so hard for these leaders. And I find that when I'm coaching these leaders, they often find it hard to advocate for their career development within their organizations. They find it very hard to be able to manage their relationships outside of work. They find it hard to. It's very hard. It's very stressful. And as we know, because we're able to think of life outside of work, we know that our health is impacted from that. Our mental health, our physical health, our ability to be able to think creatively, to be able to solve problems in a really, dynamic way, and to ask somebody in cybersecurity to, hey, why don't you take a break? Why don't you go on vacation? Why don't you do this? They'll continue to work anyway. So I just want to say, I see you. I see you all. I know what you're going through, what you go through on a day-to-day basis. And what I do with my work is that, and I have a book specifically on this out on how people can change their mindsets in this particular age, especially for CEOs. But for people in the GRC space, in cybersecurity, in defense, all of these different environments that are incredibly critical for us to be able to enjoy the life that we lead, to have the technology, the accessibility that we lead, the freedoms that we have. We're so incredibly lucky that the reality is that the people that work in this space are tireless 24/7, and when they are trying to advocate to hire a coach so they're able to move forward, they're usually they're the last person to provide the oxygen masks on themselves, because they're so in service to the systems, the people around them, the deadlines that happen, the always on, the mission critical situations that happen literally, many times a day. So the reason for me wanting to be on this podcast is that, number one, I see you. Number two, I very much believe that these leaders, and I talk about it in my book, for example, Thomas. I'll give you a quick example here. It's not his real name. And I'll just read this verbatim, which is a senior leader in Global Cybersecurity Standards Association for Government, had spent his career adapting to systems that weren't built for how his brain worked. He masked his signals to fit into the corporate culture. He dumbed himself down, avoiding eye contact, to try and avoid appearing too much. So he came to me for coaching because not because he didn't feel broken, he wasn't broken, but he needed to survive within that traditional environment. So together, I won't read it anymore because I could go on. Together we worked out how he can evolve, how he can develop influence within his organization to ensure that the systems and the solutions that he was able to present were able to be followed through, as well as ensuring that his career could evolve as well. So when you put all of that together, the most important people that are providing the freedoms that we enjoy are usually the people that don't look out for themselves first.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I mean, as you said, you have like a whole book about it, but is there maybe a few like key things, key, I don't know, things to change the mindset or create this mindset shift or help these people out? Is there any few things you can share? Because again, I understand there's like it's a whole topic to discuss, but the
Mhm.
simplest, easiest things you can just say on top of your head, maybe.
Yeah. So AJ, AJ, the reality is that the most simplest is actually the hardest. So if I say to you, hey, Eja, you've been working really hard. You've been working 18-hour days for the past 25 years. I'm going to encourage you to stop and breathe for a second and see what happens. I'm going to sound like a hippie for suggesting that, but the reality is that we have. Let's use an analogy of or if we were to use a cybersecurity analogy, whereby you're looking at a system, our brains and our bodies are a system as well. If we're overworking our brain, we're going to burn out, and we then become ill. We develop heart conditions. We're unable to work. We need to be on medications, or and so on. So first of all, to breathe, which sounds very very weak, but to just stop and really try to realize what it is that you want and what you need moving forward. Um, a lot of people that work in this particular space will work until their 70s and sometimes in their 80s, and that's absolutely great because clearly there's a great career runway for everybody, and it becomes their identity, and that's absolutely fine as well. I mean, people in politics, it becomes their identity. People and their 90s will still continue working in politics until that time, so I'm not suggesting otherwise. But in terms of health, resilience, being able to really find the right solutions, to dare I say breathe, take that moment, enjoy what is going on, um, but that just resting and resetting and digesting usually through a coach, sometimes through EMDR therapy, sometimes through a therapist, can actually provide the kind of platform, just 1 hour a week, to move forward. And in my book as well, I also have an AI solution that whereby that kind of immediate coaching, you can do that with ChatGPT right now and any other GPT, to be able to provide that kind of support. But there is something very valuable in human to human connection to be able to provide that kind of internal resilience, especially as times become even more challenging.
Mm. Thank you so much. And with that, do you have like anything else, any other takeaway or anything you want to add essentially?
Mm. Well, please, if anybody's interested in reading my book, the audio book is going to be coming out in November as well. But really, the book itself has 21 chapters in there with a lot of self-reflection exercises, a lot of questions. And they're the type of questions that, number one, you're not going to get from ChatGPT. Number two, the questions will enable you to identify what it is that you need right now. And again, it's about putting the oxygen mask on yourself to be able to continue through probably the most challenging shocks of our time.
Mm. Thank you so much, Caroline. I mean, I am excited for, like to read as well when the audiobook comes out, but I'm
Thank you.
hoping that also our audience, our members, our community members have enjoyed this chat and hopefully they can find something to, like relate to and find something to, help them. Maybe they are struggling. Well, some of them maybe are struggling with burnouts or things like that. So it was a pleasure having you. And yeah, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much for your time.